In this lecture, I am going to explain about two-phase locking protocol, 2PL. I'll explain this concept with the help of an example. Let us assume that this is the library in a college, and in this library we have one computer science bookshelf and one physics bookshelf. In the computer science bookshelf we have 8 books, and in the physics bookshelf we have 10 books. And these two bookshelves are locked. Let us assume that there are two students A and B, and the work of student A is to place two books in the computer science shelf and one book in the physics shelf. And the work of student B is he needs to count the total number of books in the library after A inserting books into the library. Let us assume that first A takes the lock of computer science bookshelf from the librarian at 10 am. Now, no other person can take that lock from the librarian because that lock is handed over to A. Now, A places two books into the computer science bookshelf and then he returns the lock back to the librarian at 11 am. And A wants to take some break up to 1 pm. Now, at 1 pm, student A takes the lock of physics bookshelf from the librarian and he places one book in the physics bookshelf, and then he returns the lock back to the librarian at 2 pm. Now, student B takes the lock from the librarian at 2 pm and he counts the total number of books in the CS bookshelf as 10, and then he gives the lock back to the librarian at 3 pm. So now at 3 pm he takes the physics bookshelf lock from the librarian and he counts the number of books in the physics bookshelf as 11, and he gives the total number of books in the library as 21, which is correct. But the problem here is the library should be open up to 4 pm and no work is done in the library from 11 am to 1 pm. Now, to reduce the working hours of library and in order to continue the work in the library from 11 am to 1 pm, we want to give CS bookshelf lock to the student B at 11 o'clock because at that time A finished its work and he is taking break, and B is sitting idle outside the library and waiting for the lock. So we want to give CS lock to the student B at 11 am. Now these are the sequence of operations done by students A and B. First, A takes the lock of computer science bookshelf from the librarian at 10 am. Now no other person can take that lock from the librarian because that lock is handed over to A. Now A places two books into the computer science bookshelf. Then he returns the lock back to the librarian at 11 am. And A wants to take some break up to 1 pm. Now B can take the lock at 11 am and he counts the total number of books in the CS bookshelf as 10. Here, if you observe, B counts the CS books after A inserting books into the CS bookshelf. And then B gives the lock back to the librarian at 12 pm. Now, by mistake, if B takes the physics bookshelf lock, then B counts the total number of books in the physics bookshelf as 10. Finally, he gives the total number of books in the library as 20, which is the wrong result because here the student B counted physics library books before A inserting books into the physics bookshelf. That is, here B has given the wrong result. Now, student B will give physics lock to the librarian at 1 pm. Now, at 1 pm, student A can take the lock and can insert one book into the physics bookshelf and gives the physics lock to the librarian at 2 pm. That is, in this case, library should be open up to 2 pm only. So, we managed the time very well, but we didn't get the correct result. So if you observe, A finished his work properly. That is, he placed 2 books into CS shelf and 1 book into physics shelf. But student B failed in giving the correct answer because he counted CS books after A inserting books and he counted physics books before A inserting books into the physics bookshelf. So here B has given the wrong result. Even though we use locks, we didn't get the correct result. In order to get the correct result, we will follow the following procedure. First, A takes the lock of CS bookshelf from the librarian at 10 am. Now no other person can take that lock from the librarian because that lock is handed over to A. If B wants to count the total number of books in the CS bookshelf, then he has to wait until A finishes its work. So without returning the lock to the librarian, A takes the lock of physics bookshelf at 10:30 am and he places 2 books into the CS bookshelf and he gives the CS lock to the librarian at 11 am. Now B takes the lock on CS bookshelf at 11 am and he counts total number of books in the CS bookshelf as 10 and he tries to get the lock on physics bookshelf, but the lock is already handed over to A, so he will wait for the lock. So after break at 1 pm, A places 1 book into the physics bookshelf and then he gives the lock back to the librarian at 2 pm. Now at 2 pm, B can take the lock on physics bookshelf and he can count the total number of books in the physics bookshelf as 11. And he gives the total number of books in the library as 21, which is the correct result. Here, if you observe, in order to get the correct result, before B counting the books, A should place the books into the library. That is, when A and B requires locks of same shells, then A should take all the required locks before releasing any of the locks. This is the logic behind 2PL. If you understand this logic, then you can understand 2PL very easily. Now in the next video, I'll explain 2PL in terms of transactions.